In this part, we're going to give you a brief introduction on the concepts of financial modeling, who uses them, and what kinds of assets we can apply financial modeling to. So modeling in a broad sense, it's not financial modeling, but modeling in a broad sense is the act of logically estimating future outcomes. Of course, there are many different definitions on what modeling is, but we figured out that this is most appropriate when we consider the definition of financial modeling, which we'll look in our later slide. So what kind of things do we estimate? Number one, things like the route of the hurricane. So if you're living in a region where hurricanes often occur, or sometimes they're called typhoons, they're sometimes called cyclones or whatever, what are the routes going to be? Scientists don't just assign random routes to the map. They always analyze the historical phenomenons observed in weathers, and they analyze the historicals, and they try to come up with a logical estimate on the routes of the hurricane. Same goes for the temperatures, the rain possibilities, winds, snows, and so on. So it's a logical estimate of future outcomes. Again, how many COVID-19 cases will occur internationally in 2024? Of course, we're not currently really concerned about these numbers, but think about 4 years before when COVID-19 first burst out. How would we be able to logically estimate how many COVID-19 cases there will be in the future? We would, on the top of my head, benchmark past pandemic cases such as SARS, which could be transmitted via respiratory organs, for example. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but that's on the top of my head. For example, how much sea level will rise in the next 10 years? How much of the glaciers are going to melt from the North and South poles? What is the worst scenario? What is the best scenario? Scientists or environmentalists are trying to logically estimate what's going to happen in the future. Which team will win the 2023 World Series, or the 2025 World Series actually? Well, if you're a sports fan, there are many sports that are predictable, and some of the sports are very unpredictable, but many people say that baseball is one of the sports that rely a lot on numbers and past analyses. So, data teams of professional baseball clubs, or if you are maybe a professional gambler who gambles or bets money on who's going to win the World Series, well, we might be doing some sort of modeling. And these kind of cases are also called modeling. So, well, in some cases there are rumors or news on the entertainment section that actress A and actor B is going to get married, or whether there's a huge scandal that they're secretly meeting somewhere. Well, sometimes people post pictures of what their child or baby would look like, especially if actress A and actor B is so beautiful and handsome. In those cases, those pictures get posted, and in a sense, that's also logically estimating future outcomes. So in a broader sense, we can call it modeling. If World War III happens, how much will the world's population decrease? Or how much would it affect GDP? So these would be some examples of modeling in a broad sense. But what we're really focused on is financial modeling. So it's the same. It's the act of logically estimating future outcomes. It's the same until here. But financial modeling, when it comes to financial modeling, we're modeling specifically for investment decisions or business decisions. So what kind of things are we interested in for making investment decisions? For example, is the market size. Future market sizes really determines whether or not that specific asset is attractive or not. Market size or market size growth would be a very important factor in making investment decisions. Therefore, we're trying to figure out what it's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And we try to make very, very logical reasons on the numbers that we have forecasted. Again, what will be the operating profits or EBIT for a certain company for the next 3 years or for the next 5 years? And depending on that estimate, we might decide whether to invest in that company or not. What should we build on this land? If there's a given land, what do we want to build? Should we build a hotel? Should we build office buildings? Should we build a shopping mall? Should we build a combination of these three? And if we do, what are the returns going to be like? So we focus on these kind of decision-making processes in real estate modeling. Again, what will be the most ideal monthly payment for a new insurance product on stomach cancer? So if you're designing a new insurance product, and if it's a product for stomach cancer, you would have future probabilities for patients' occurrences in stomach cancer, and you would have to figure out how much we would have to provide to the patients if they have stomach cancer, and try to calculate how much we would have to receive in the present in order for that insurance product to make a profit. So although this is a decision for payments made in the current, in order to make that decision, we have to make forecasts and estimates in the future probabilities. What will be the value of this drug for diabetes? It's currently in phase 2 of the clinical trials. Would it be worth it to proceed to pay phase 3? So again, it's a huge investment from the pharma or biotech perspective. And in order to make that decision, we would have to know how many diabetes patients, how many market share can we target? What are the drug prices going to be for the next 10 years? Those kind of estimates will lead to the value of this new drug and lead to the decision making of whether to proceed to the next phase of the clinical trials. Lastly, what is the appropriate stock price for Tesla? This is basically what we're all curious about. What is the appropriate stock price? Or stock price times number of shares would be similar to enterprise value. So what is the appropriate enterprise value? Is it higher or lower than the current stock price? If it's higher than the current stock price, we should invest. If it's lower than the current stock price, we should not invest in that company. So the common thing about these examples is that number one, we're trying to make investment decisions. Number two, we're trying to forecast or predict the future. And number three, we're trying to be as logical as possible. Thus, we're trying to analyze historical data as much as possible. So we do hope that this explains what financial modeling is and what modeling is in a broader sense.